before we have Kim Anderson here to speak with us, but before we get to her, Shauna Worth is just a little late, but she, in typical Shauna form, sent me an email list of reminders she wanted to get everybody while this was recording. So the Spanish Childcare Conference, April 27th, that's coming up. Tax incentive information is out. Providers need to plan now for the end of the tax credit that they can claim. And there will be links coming in the chat once Kim gets started. Elevate 2024 conference, support providers to attend if they can, is coming up. And there is a first 5 legislative policy update tonight that you have to pre-register to attend. So I am going to hand it over to Kim in just a second, but I will make sure all these links make it into the chat. There's more people coming. Yay. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, I am going to right away just introduce our presenter today. We have Kim Anderson. I'll let her introduce herself. She is going to be talking to us about the apprenticeship program.
All right. Thank you for letting me come and crash your guys' party today and talk a little bit about apprenticeships. So my name is Kim Anderson. I am the apprenticeship director at Northeast Community College. So we serve 20 counties in the northeast part of the state of Nebraska. I do have colleagues at Central Community College as well as Southeast Community Colleges. The three of us have all embarked on the apprenticeship journey together and all have apprenticeship offices within our colleges. So for any of you that are maybe not in Northeast region, but you're in other regions of the state, there are other community college resources. So later, if anybody wants connections at some of those other colleges, let me know, throw something in the chat and I can get that to you. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with apprenticeship, and there's probably varying stages of knowledge that everybody has. So I'm kind of going to start from the ground zero and build from there. So when we talk about apprenticeship, it's a flexible training strategy that allows individuals to work and earn an income while they're also learning skills in a classroom type setting. So we offer a variety of different apprenticeship programs in a lot of different industries. So Northeast currently has 8 different apprenticeship programs, and our Child Development Associate is one of those. So like I said, the whole idea behind apprenticeship is that individuals are able to dive into a career, start earning an income while they're also learning on the job, but then they're taking courses and learning in the classroom as well. Once they complete the program, they do receive a nationally recognized credential from the United States Department of Labor. Northeast, as well as Southeast and Central Community Colleges, we have all become what's called a registered apprenticeship program sponsor. So what that means is that we have gone through the rigor to work with the Department of Labor and establish our various apprenticeship programs so that we can give that certification from Department of Labor and pass that on to individuals who complete our program. So I would equate it to other industry type credentials that are out there, you know, similar to like the CDA type credential that's in your guys' field. I would equate this apprenticeship credential to that. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about CDA here in a second. So I'm going to put a pin in that before we get off on a tangent. But this credential, I would say, would be similar to something like that. So the other thing that I always like to start with is that a lot of people use the word apprenticeship interchangeably with internship, and they're definitely different. So just want to spend a couple seconds here talking about how they're different from each other. So internship, really you're looking at short term, you know, typically those interns will come into a facility for 3 months, 4 months, maybe, you know, 6 months, and then they're gone and they continue their education or, you know, they go find a full-time job. The idea with apprenticeship is that from the very beginning, this is meant to be that long-term career pathway for them. So they're starting out And they may be working a smaller subset of hours in the beginning because they're taking classes and juggling all of that at the same time. But the idea is once they would complete the apprenticeship program, they would stay with their employer and remain employed there. So this is not meant to be okay, we just need some short-term staff. We're going to hire an apprentice. Like that's not the idea. Couple other things is that the apprenticeships all are paid when they're on the job with you. Sometimes internships are not paid. I know more and more of them are paid today than they used to be, but that is a requirement. All apprenticeship programs, they will be paid while they're on the job with you. We do have some employers, not in early childhood, but in other programs, that they do pay for the individuals to even be in the classroom while they're learning. So that's happening. We're not seeing that in early childcare just because of, all of the fun with early childcare and low wages and all of that. But things to think about. Also, all of our apprenticeship programs have a structured on-the-job learning plan. With an internship, you don't typically have that. They'll come in and you'll give them a certain project or, they're going to learn just this little piece of the business. But with an apprenticeship, it's meant to be this well-rounded pathway so that they learn anything and everything they need to know to be successful in the industry. And so there's a list of competencies. I would say it's roughly 20 to 30, I don't know, somewhere in there, that they have to work on mastering while they're on the job with you. It's going to be things that you would expect of all of your child care providers. Things like, how do you teach kids about proper dinner time conversation and proper hygiene and teaching them how to communicate with their friends, having difficult conversations with parents, all of those things that all of your child care providers have to do day in and day out. That's included in the on-the-job learning that they work on while they're with you. Each apprentice does get assigned a one-on-one mentor at your facility. So you would get to decide who you want that mentor to be. We prefer it to be someone who's not their supervisor, so not like the director of the child care center, preferably more of a peer-to-peer relationship. But of course, if it needs to be supervisor to individual, we can work with that. That mentor is the one who's really making sure that they're learning all of those competencies that I talked about. And the mentor is responsible for marking them complete, saying, yes, they have received or they are competent in that area. So we do mentor training at the very beginning for all of our mentors so that they understand what their role is, how they're really there to not only provide the quality control behind the program, but they're really going to make or break that program for the individual who's in the program. So it's really wise to think carefully about who you want that mentor to be. And then we already talked about the credential that the apprentices receive. An internship, they would not receive that apprenticeship credential. They may receive something else depending upon how that internship is set up and what else it's tied to. But typically there's not any credentialing tied to an internship. And then also the apprenticeship is that long-term employment opportunity versus the short-term. All right, so I went through a lot. Let's see. Okay, let's dive into specifically now a little bit more about the child development apprenticeship program and how we have that set up today. So Northeast has developed a program that actually is tied to the CDA credential. So students that are in our apprenticeship program, they're taking the family child care CDA courses. So they're doing the infant and toddler child development. They're doing the preschool child development. They're doing their health safety. They're doing an intro to early childhood. And I'm trying to think of what the other one is. I feel like there's one more. Hold on, I should have pulled this up earlier. Oh, the basic life support and first aid. That's the other one. So they are taking those 5 classes while they're with us here at the college. And they could continue on and do the portfolio and do the testing to get their CDA credential. If the individual says, okay, I like this, but I don't necessarily want to go through the rigor of getting that CDA credential, another opportunity that they would have still within the apprenticeship program is they could take 2 additional classes with Northeast. I think one is literature, and I think the other one is like a communication type class. And then they would receive their certificate from Northeast. So in the college realm, we're able to offer certificates, diplomas, associate degrees. Certificates are typically like roughly a semester of curriculum. Diplomas are usually around 2 semesters, and your associate degree is the traditional 4 semesters. So they could say, I'm going to forego the CDA. I'm going to take the extra 2 classes and get my certificate from Northeast. So 2 different options. And of course, either of those options they choose, they continue to ladder on. So if they say, okay, I'm going to get the CDA credential and I'm going to stop for now, and then maybe they want to come back later and they want to get additional education, they could take those additional 2 and get their certificate. So then they would have their CDA and their Northeast certificate. If they keep going on, then they could also get our associate degree from the college. So it all ladders and connects really nicely together, which is exciting that, you know, they can start out pretty small and just keep building and growing as they go. So I'm going to stop there for a second because I feel like I've thrown a lot at you, kind of general apprenticeship, and then also some of the specifics into the childcare program. So I want to stop and ask if there's any questions.
We are working with as high school students, and I've seen that you can start this at 16. What does that really look like, and how do we have conversations with our schools to get connected there?
Yeah, good question. So, a lot of the high schools are getting more and more into like work-based learning and career pathways. That's kind of some stuff that's being pushed down to them from Nebraska Department of Education. So a lot of schools are starting to do that. You may just need to plug into your local schools and say, hey, what do you have that you're already doing? Because everybody kind of does it a little bit different. You know, we have some schools here, like one of them does on Fridays for all their seniors. They get to either come to Northeast and take some college classes, or they get to go work out in industry all day Friday. I have another school that does actually, I have a couple schools that do half days all throughout the week. So the students take their remaining classes that senior year in the morning, and then their afternoon, they're out working, or if they want to take college classes, you know, different things. So each high school kind of has a different type of setup. So I would definitely encourage you, reach out to your local high school and ask what they're doing to do, you know, work release and career pathing for your local students. And Natalie, I see your thing in the chat here. I will email you some information following up. So thanks for providing your email address.
You emphasized Northeast having between CDA and the internship program. What about Southeast? Because Southeast does have a CDA program. So are they more like parallel programs, but not linked at this point in time?
Yeah. So Southeast has not developed a childcare apprenticeship program yet. They have developed a couple others, but childcare has not been one of them. However, I do know Southeast has been involved in, there's been some conversations at the state level to develop a statewide apprenticeship model for early childhood. So Southeast Central and I have all been involved in those conversations, along with NAECY. I don't know if I got that acronym quite right, but hopefully you all know what I'm referring to.
YC.
Okay, yes. We've been working with the Teach Center or the Teach Scholarship. Even the schools like UNK and I don't remember what the other four-year institution is that's involved. So talking more about long-term career pathing for early childhood and how you go from the community colleges to the 4 years and how you can ladder in like teach funding for that. So yes, I would say today Southeast does not have apprenticeship for child development, but I think if you were interested in information or getting involved with them, I would say I think they would certainly talk to you and they probably would be more than happy to get something set up if that was something you wanted.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm going to try here real quick if I can multitask and make this happen. I'm going to put in the chat the contact for Southeast. And once I get a second, I can do the other one too for Central.
Awesome. Other questions for Kim?
Kim, what is the approximate cost to a provider if they wanted to do this? I know they could always do a teach scholarship, but if that wasn't on the table for some reason, what is the cost of is it like college credits?
Yep. So it is college credits. So let me see here real quick. I'm going to do the real fast math. So roughly 1,500. And that would be before books. I don't know what their books are for that program, but that would be like tuition and fees. It'd be roughly 1,500. So we do for all of our apprenticeship programs, we always encourage our employers, especially those in early childcare, because of kind of some of the limited funding and things that you guys have, is to look at what other funding sources are out there that can help you to assist with the cost of tuition. So it's not a huge burden on your center. It's not a huge burden on your individuals that want to go through the program. So yes, there's Teach. They also could look at regular federal aid.
I
We also
wanna-
have
I wanna
some
see.
Pell funding that's
It's
out
okay.
there that would be similar to like a regular federal financial aid program. So actually, I think I said Pell again, and I meant GAP. GAP is something similar to like Pell. So there are some different funding streams. Again, the local community colleges could help you navigate those things and what's maybe a fit for different individuals. And Sarah, I got your email too, so I plugged you in. I will send both of you some information afterwards. And if everybody wants information, if there's just a general somebody I can send things to and they'll disperse it to the group, we can do that as well.
Yeah, Kim, if you send it to me, I can send it out with the recording because there's a lot of people that will watch that can't hop on at this time.
Okay.
Be excited to watch and get information. So I can send any information with that email.
Okay. Yes. I will put you down, but I will send it to you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Any other questions for Kim?
The other thing that I will say is I think it's slowly going away, but I think there used to be this stigma of like, oh my gosh, apprenticeship, that sounds hard and lots of work to make that happen and bring that into my facility. And it's really not, especially when you come alongside the community colleges who have done a lot of that heavy lifting for you. Because we have went through and we've gotten established with Department of Labor. We've registered that specific occupation. We do all the reporting and all the auditing and all of that fun stuff for you. As an employer, it is very, very simple. Really, it comes down to at the very beginning, like if you said yes today, like I want to do this, now what? Next steps are we work with you to determine who do you want to be on your apprenticeship team at your facility. You know, if you're a smaller facility, maybe it's just you as the director or the owner. If you're a little bit larger, maybe you want to have a lead teacher or who's going to be some of your mentors. Like maybe you want to include them. Or I was talking to a facility yesterday, they were including some of their board members. So there's lots of different ways to slice it and dice it, but who needs to be involved on kind of developing this program specific for your facility? And then we get together with you and we talk about how are you going to structure things as far as how many hours a week are you wanting the individual to work? What are the rough hours that you're expecting them to work? What's the pay? One other thing that I guess I didn't mention is so with the apprenticeship program, there is a requirement that they receive one pay increase throughout the life of the program. So the program should take them roughly a year to complete. So you can decide how you want to structure that pay increase. We will see, some companies will say after they've completed 50% of the schooling, then we're going to give them a pay bump. Or some of them will say after they've completed a certain percentage of the competencies, we'll give them a pay bump. Others just say, after they've been here 6 months, 9 months, a year, then we give them the pay bump. So those are all things that you get to decide how you're going to structure and how you want to work with it within your different facilities. So we really like to sit down with you and have you think about how do you want to structure all of these things, and we'll give you guidance along the way. And then we can talk about actually promoting and finding the right individuals for the program. Some companies, they'll use current individuals that are already working for them. So maybe someone who is new to the industry, or in some other areas, maybe they're doing something else within that company and they're looking to get into a new area of that company. That's another great opportunity to upskill them. So that's one bucket, is you could use somebody internally. And then another bucket would be, hiring, I'm going to say someone off the street who's like, hey, I want to get into early childcare. How do I make this happen? What's the transition process? So you could hire them and put them into the program and get them skilled up. Or we can always look at, our college students that are already in the program who is maybe still looking for a placement, and we could give you those recommendations. I know a lot of our college students, they are already working in industry and they're already tied somewhere, but once in a while we get one that is just starting out and is still looking for kind of that first job in the industry. So I say all of that, and I also want to make sure that I emphasize that we do not place students with you because this is a long-term employment opportunity. We want you to select who these individuals are. So if we find somebody and we refer them over like, hey, Wendy, you might want to take a look at this individual. I think they'd be really good. You still go through your traditional application, hiring, interview process, whatever that is today. You still go through that and you would decide if they're a good fit and hire them. We're definitely not just going to be like, oh, Wendy, you're taking little Jimmy over here because good luck. So, yeah.
That is good to know. Those are all really great points. Thank you for that, Kim. Any other questions for Kim?
So I'm curious real quick, just because I don't know who's all in the room, shout out to me, like, where are you all located? What parts of, I'm assuming you're all in Nebraska, but what parts of the state are you all?
So this is our C4K communities that are spread all over the state. There's only obviously a few that could be on today, but they will be watching from all over the state. So it's different communities that work with us to partner with us to prioritize early childhood. So we are lucky and thrilled to be with all over the state that gets to come on this call once a month.
Awesome. That's exciting. Well, good. I'm really glad that I mentioned Central and Southeast then for those of you that are maybe in different regions. Metro, if you're in that area, I know they do work with apprenticeship. They, as far as I know, have not become like a sponsor, but they'll provide the education and then they can direct you to the people at the state to register your apprenticeship program. If you're out in the Mid-Plains or Western community college regions, I think they definitely have an appetite to start developing apprenticeships. They currently don't have any staffing. It would have to run through, some of their other college staff they have, and it'll be a learning curve for them. But if that's something you're interested in, I would highly connect with them. You could certainly do that, and they can help you.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you again so much for coming and taking the time to talk to us all, Kim. I'm guessing you're
Yeah.
gonna hear from quite a few people after this.
All right. Yes, no problem. Thank you. We're, here to help support and build your workforce as best we can. I know it's a struggle for you guys especially, and so anything we can do to help, we're always here to assist you. So thank you again for letting me join your little party today and talk about apprenticeships. And yeah, I'll be shooting you guys some information so that Noelle can get that sent out.
Awesome. Great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the rest of this meeting, we don't have any more presenters, so we can open up this space for you all to talk about questions that you have, things that are going on in your community, challenges you're having. Before we do that, though, I just wanted to remind everybody, the end of PDG no cost extension is March 31st. So if you have that funding source, just keep that in mind that we gotta be spending that money if we haven't already. And then the same thing for the ARPA Cursive funds, but for it'll be April 29th is that end date. So we are kind of down to the wire for that. So with that, I will just open it back up to anybody who wants to talk about what's going on in their community today.
Well, I am going to share something fun Falls City's doing with a lot of assistance with Katrina. We're going to do a childcare recruitment night, and we're doing it in conjunction with Week of the Young Child. And so we don't have it all done or all set up, but we've had a great meeting. Katrina came down and hosted a meeting with all of our current providers so we could make them understand we're not competing. We want their knowledge, their skills. So we're setting up to do a panel. We're going to pick, well, actually we had a lot. Katrina, I don't know about you, but we're going to have to cut them. When I think about everyone volunteered to be on the panel, which was shocking. Even some of my Shire ones. So we're going to have a panel. We're planning, but we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. We're going to have food. We're going to have different people come and speak. We don't have it finalized, so I can't really speak to what everybody we're going to have, but we plan on doing that, I believe, April 10th. I've also coordinated with 2 of the schools in town, and with some of the private funds, we're doing a book walk. So the students are, that way we're trying to get our young folks more aware of what childcare, but to be involved in the community. So we're going to do a book walk, and one of them is using their drama class to act out and be the characters of the book. And then the hospital is helping us with the facility, so they have a walking path. And so that's going to be the Week of the Young Child. Our library, which isn't nothing we did, but our library just got some funding to go around and do things at the childcare programs. And I don't even know what the funding's called. I might have it on my text message, but they'll go to the childcares like every other week on a Friday and I'm going to try to read it to you, but the library's doing that. That's nothing. We're just like spreading the word, which is amazing. So they're going to go around every other week and do like story time at the childcare. They offer things at the library currently, but it's hard for our childcare programs to get the children there. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it's very hard. So I'm excited about that. But I think that's Falls City. We do have one. We have the fire marshal coming Thursday to change a license to a home 2. And the other one we haven't heard nothing on, but fire marshal's on it and we're pushing. I am having troubles with fingerprints again. So we've had a sub that we feel the paperwork was submitted right, but that's taken like over 6 to 8 weeks. We've heard nothing. We had a sub for some childcare. So I don't know if it's the paperwork wasn't done right or what, but we've reached out and have not heard yet what's going on. So that's the only downer I have today, though. Everything else is great.
Susan, thank you for sharing all of that. Lots of exciting things happening in Falls City. Anybody else having similar fingerprint issues or anything else that they want to share?
I will say, in Sherman County, we had helped a gal get licensed, and it took from November 1st to February 1st. So 3 months, looking better on that. It was an in-home too. And then she just had twins on Monday, so she'll be closed down for a little bit, but we're very excited for her. A couple other things that we're doing is tonight we have the first of 3 business basics entrepreneurship classes that I'm offering through our economic development as my actual job. And so Rural Prosperity Nebraska, Sean Caskey is presenting for 2 nights, and then we have like a bookkeeper in town and an attorney in town that are presenting for the final evening. And we have 2 of our childcare providers that signed up to attend. So we're pretty excited. So 2 of the 12 are childcare providers, and just glad that we've been able to reach that population as between economic development and our Chamber of Commerce and stuff. I feel like they had previously kind of been left out because they are pretty tied to their location throughout the day when we're usually doing events and meetings during the day. So they're going to attend our evening events. And then also another part is that there's a career fair at our high school, and one of the providers and myself are going to have a table there together to kind of show our combined forces. Like, you can either work at a center that we're going to be up and coming and be hiring for here shortly, or the opportunities available for opening a center in your own home. So I'm looking forward to that. And otherwise, we're still on track to open our center in June, hopefully, as long as everything keeps booking along. So we had a visit with London Wilkins this morning, and an on-site visit, and walked through everything, and it's coming along. And Katrina and Shauna are coming out there next week to check it out too for our ARPA funding. So we're excited. Lots of moving parts. So
Yes, and that's all in addition to your regular job. So we really
yeah.
appreciate you.
Yep. And that's what I keep thinking. I'm like, somewhere in here I'm raising a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, but I haven't figured out where. So, yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Who else wants to go today?
It's my first time joining the group, but I was gonna let you know, Susan, I just talked to my specialist this morning on licensing, and she told us that fingerprints are 10 days out. So I'm not sure what bubble she might be living in. But I do know another gal had reached out to a senator because she felt like it was an excessive amount of time, and then she had results within days. I don't know, just an idea. So
We're
Okay.
finding the most
Thank
random
you.
thing is working right now, and I think I've said this before, but in our rural areas, they've been going to just their local sheriff's office where they don't have digital fingerprints, and so they send that with their application together, and we're getting them back within 10 days. But if we're going to Grand Island and doing the state patrol office like we're supposed to be, it's taking forever again. So I have no clue what's happening. But the little back door is working, so if
Right.
anybody wants to do it the old-fashioned way, maybe that's the ticket. I don't know.
yes.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
But I've also had two, like, we have 3 people that went the same day to the same sheriff's office, and they got mailed the same day, applications together, the whole 9 yards. 1 came back and 2 didn't. So I don't know what's happening there either. So it's very random, very random.
I just got mine done yesterday, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
in Grand Island though. So hopefully not too long. That scares me now. Thank you.
Did you do a digital?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, keep us
The
posted.
live scan or whatever. So
That's supposed to be the way that it works, and it's supposed to be really fast. So I don't know. Literally 2 different people did it the same day and we had them back, and 2 different communities did it, but I don't know.
Interesting. They say they just email you the results, right? That's all I'm waiting on. Okay. Just to make sure.
Other things people want to share.
Well, in Ashland, we have had 2 facilities licensed in the last 6 weeks or so. One, a family childcare home, and another, a center that's been relicensed and with a new proprietor. And so that's getting started, and that's exciting. I'm curious to know if people on the call are doing special activities for Week of the Young Child. And if so, what kinds of things are you doing? Or if you're doing any kind of recognition of providers on whatever that Provider Recognition Day in May is.
That's a great question. I always see in billing packets what things happen after the fact, but I'd love to hear what people have coming up.
I mean, since I raised the question, we are definitely planning to take little love bundles, to all of our family and childcare providers in the community. And we did that last year too, and it was pretty popular. We also did some bundles, of appreciation in January for the new year. And so I don't know how many pieces we'll be able to pull together, but we were still debating whether to do something special during Week of the Young Child too.
Yeah, what was in your love bundles?
Oh, we had some gift certificates from the Chamber of Commerce. We put candles. We had candy. I don't know, Karen, can you remember what else? There was something else in there. And a note, just a note of appreciation, but that was handwritten on flowery paper. And then we visited their homes. So we made a personal call to deliver each one of them and divided up our committee to take things to people's homes.
Oh, very cool. Anybody else?
Our center in my town just got their license amended after finally passing inspection to maximum capacity of 121. So that's super exciting, and a bunch of kids on a wait list. So hopefully we'll start seeing kiddos enrolled, and then staff being hired will obviously be like first priority. So we're pretty excited about that.
Thank you for sharing.
Question back on the love bundle. Last year, we just did chamber bucks and we did deliver them, but I think the bundle sounds kind of fun. Did you go around and ask for donations, or did you use your private grant for those? Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, we used private money for that. And then we sort of bound everything up in cellophane, that was sort of pretty with the big bow and so forth too. So they looked really cute. Sherry did a good job of tying up all the pieces. And yeah, we use chamber bucks too. That's what the gift certificates were.
Okay, thank you.
In North Platte for Week of the Young Child, we are doing the Kids on the Bricks again. I think this will be the 4th year. So we just in downtown North Platte kind of close it down and have the child care providers if they want to have a booth there, and then other community partners as vendors down there. And then we'll have like just a lot of child oriented activities. There's like a scavenger hunt, prizes, little learning stations and stuff like that. So we're not doing as much throughout the week, but we just make a big day of it at the end.
Thank you for sharing that. I guess too, I should add through our POPS program, which is kind of our star program, I guess you'd say, in Ashland, because it's so exciting, going so well, but sort of along those lines. In May, we're going to do it's like a big trucks and tractors expose. And so all these people they're like walling off part of the town and bringing their trucks, and all the kids are invited to come and, like climb on them and, ride the tractors and so forth too. And then during that time, our plan is, it's ambitious, so I hope we can lift this off, to begin to enroll people as friends of communities for kids with, kind of minimal enrollment contributions, as we begin to think about raising money for like another era, I guess, after the funding runs out. So it'll be kind of dual focused.
That's a great idea, Helen. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Val, for sharing what's going on in Lincoln County. Anybody else have anything that they want to talk about? Even the stuff that's not going so hot.
Well, question, it might be like, it's a funding question, but a provider that is opening, what do you think about finishing a sidewalk? What would that look like?
For CURSA funding?
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's not a question for here, I don't know, but.
I mean, we just have to be able to, so it's like a brand new.
Well, she's got her sidewalk, there's just one part that would lead to the street. She's got,
Oh,
A
no, I'm sorry.
partial.
Is it a brand new provider?
yes, her license, she's already applied. Her license, we hope is, well, better be here before April or I'm gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, if you can, I would say, look at the regulations, the licensing regulations page, and see if you can point out something that points to that needing to be fixed to get licensed, because that would always help.
Okay,
And if you can't find anything that quite meets your situation,
probably not.
probably not, but we can still talk about it and kind of talk
Okay.
more. Good question. Anything else? And we have a smaller group today, but I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to watch this recording because that was a fantastic presentation. Well, if not, then we will just plan on seeing you at the April meeting and have fun changing your clocks this weekend. I'm pretty excited about it. Kara's face, what? I know, it snuck up on us. Okay, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and always feel free to email me or your technical assistant with any questions you have in the meantime.